Good morning, second graders. This is for Heritage Studies. We are going to be having our Chapter 5 test on Wednesday. So this video is just to review everything that we've learned in Chapter 5. And I wanted to go over a few things so that you guys understood what to expect for the test. All right, so Chapter 5 review. If you are looking at page 91 in your activity book, let's go ahead and review these answers real quick because this is what's going to be on the test as well. So number one, it's asking what continent did the explorers come from, or where did they start? As you can see on the map there, we have North America, South America, Europe, Africa, and Asia. The arrow is coming from Europe. Early explorers actually came from Europe. In the year 1000, Leif Erikson heard about a land to the west and eventually made his way to North America. You can see how he landed in Iceland, Greenland, and then eventually North America. That's how he made his way across the ocean up in the North Atlantic. Christopher Columbus, in 1942, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. He came from Spain and actually landed just south of us in like the Bahamas in that area, so just south of Florida, but that's still the North American continent. Number two, what continent were the explorers looking for? Leif Erikson had heard about land to the west, and so he really wasn't looking for Asia, but Christopher Columbus was. He wanted to go to Asia to increase trade routes. He knew that there would be a way to get to Asia, and he thought it would be another way to establish trading with the Asian continent. Asia had silk and all kinds of awesome things that they wanted to trade. So they were looking for Asia. Instead, these explorers ran into North America. When they first met the Native Americans, they thought that they had run into India and therefore called them Indians. But they're not Indians, they're actually Native Americans. And these were the first Americans. They were there from when, back to our Bible story, when the Tower of Babel, God caused them to speak different languages and they had to spread out according to the language that they spoke. And some of those early people made their way across Asia into North America and became the first Americans, Native Americans. So what ocean did these early explorers cross to get to North America? On the map there you can see it is the Atlantic Ocean. The Atlantic Ocean is just to our east. Here in Florida, we are on the Atlantic side of Florida. So yes, it is the Atlantic Ocean that they crossed. On page 92 of your activity books, it's asking who were the first Americans, and you have two pictures there. We have one gentleman with looks like beads and feathers and ribbons in his hair. He is a Native American. He's showing his culture. The second picture appears to be what would be early European attire, the hats, and then their clothing as well. So we have one Native American and one European. So the first Americans, Native Americans. Which man would have come from Europe? You're looking for the man who's dressed in European attire. Who made the clothing from resources in the woods? Do you remember learning about that in chapter 5? The Native Americans used the natural resources around them to make their clothing. So that would be the Native American. And for number 8, we have two pictures, one of a doll that looks like it was made pretty recently, and another one that looks a bit older. And remember when we discussed artifacts? Which doll is a Native American artifact? So probably the older looking one, the one with the fringe and the clothing. You can see it looks like it was used from natural resources to make the doll's clothing as well. And then at the bottom, it's asking about the sequence of events. Remember, the ships arrived to North America. Then the colonists, they built a colony. So they built a fence surrounding the colony to help protect it. And then eventually you can see that the colony is established for number 3, where they have their houses, the fence is complete, and they have their established colony. And if we can remember from our reading, a colony was another one of our vocabulary words. And a colony is formed when a person or a people from another country settle in another country. And a colony usually keeps its ties close to home. So we had some new vocabulary. Artifact was one of them. Artifacts similar to fossils, like what we learned in science, they can tell us a lot about people who lived long ago. So artifacts like tools and jewelry tell us about the people that lived during that time. They're objects left behind by these people. And let's see here. We've learned a lot. One moment, I'm going to go back. So again, what continent did the explorers start from? Europe. What continent did the explorers find? They were looking for Asia, but they found North America. What continent were the explorers looking for? Asia. Remember, they wanted to establish trade routes. What ocean did the explorers cross on the route to North America? Atlantic Ocean, very good. Who were the first Americans? Was it the European explorers or was it the Native Americans? You said Native Americans, good job. True or false? Leif Erikson traveled to North America in the year 1000. True. Christopher Columbus sailed the Atlantic Ocean in the year 1492. True. The Native Americans arrived in North America after Christopher Columbus. No, they didn't. They were here before Christopher Columbus and even Leif Erikson. So that one is false. The Iroquois made small beads from shells called, do you remember? That was that silly word that we ran into. It's kind of fun to say. Wampum. Very good. Objects left behind by people long ago are called findings or artifacts. If you said artifacts, you're correct. A blank is what is left of a building from long ago. Is it stone or a ruin? If you said a ruin, you are correct. Good job. A blank is formed when people from one country settle in another. Is that a camp or a colony? If you said colony, you are correct. And that is the test for review. Make sure you take a look at your vocabulary. In second grade, we had a lot of vocabulary, so make sure you know those words. All right, guys? I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.